July 14, 1885. A document arrives at a small furniture store in Chicago. The owner, a former slave, opens it with trembling hands. In that moment, Sarah E. Good became the first African-American woman in United States history to receive a patent. But this isn't just a story about a piece of paper. It's about how one woman's imagination shattered the barriers of race, gender, and society itself. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of Sarah E. Good, because chances are you haven't. And that's exactly why this story needs to be told. Sarah Elizabeth Good was born into slavery around 1855 in Spanish Fork, Ohio. The exact date of her birth, like many aspects of slave lives, was never properly recorded. She was one of 7 children born to Oliver and Harriet Jacobs, who witnessed their daughter's first breaths in a world where she was considered property, not a person. But freedom was coming. When the Civil War ended in 1865, young Sarah found herself free, but facing a world that offered little opportunity for a former slave girl with no formal education. But Sarah had something that no system of oppression could take away: an brilliant, innovative mind. Following the Civil War, she made her way to Chicago, a city that was rapidly becoming an industrial powerhouse. There, she met and married Archibald Good, a carpenter who shared her entrepreneurial spirit. Together, they opened a furniture store, catering to working-class customers, many of whom were living in the city's increasingly crowded apartments. Running the store gave Sarah unique insights into her customers' struggles. She listened to their complaints, understood their needs, and began to see solutions where others saw only problems. If you're enjoying this forgotten story of innovation, make sure to like and subscribe for more hidden gems of history. Being a business owner in the 1880s was challenging enough. Being a female business owner was nearly unheard of. Being a black female business owner? That was revolutionary and dangerous. Sarah faced discrimination from suppliers who didn't want to work with a black woman. Customers sometimes walked out when they realized who owned the store. But perhaps the greatest challenge Sarah faced was the complete lack of formal education. Remember, it had been illegal to teach slaves to read and write. Sarah had to teach herself everything, from basic arithmetic to the complex language of patent applications. She worked during the day and studied at night, often by candlelight. Meanwhile, her customers, mostly working-class families, kept coming to her with the same problem. Their small apartments had no space. In the 1880s, Chicago's population was exploding, and housing was shrinking. Workers needed furniture, but they also needed space to live. Sarah watched as families struggled to fit their lives into tiny rooms, and she began to wonder, what if furniture could do more than one? Let me know in the comments if you've ever lived in a tiny apartment. Sarah's solution might surprise you. Sarah's breakthrough came from combining her carpenter husband's knowledge with her own innovative thinking. She envisioned a piece of furniture that could serve multiple purposes, a desk by day that could transform into a bed at night. But this wasn't just any fold-out bed. Sarah's design was revolutionary. The cabinet bed, as she called it, was a desk with compartments for writing materials and stationery. But when needed, it could be transformed into a comfortable bed. When folded up, it took up minimal space, making it perfect for small urban apartments. The design was so practical that it became a predecessor to the modern Murphy bed. But creating the design was only half the battle. Sarah had to navigate the complex patent application process, a system that was notoriously unwelcoming to both women and African Americans. She had to provide detailed technical drawings, precise specifications, and defend her invention's uniqueness. Remember, this was a woman who had taught herself to read and write. On July 14, 1885, patent number 322,177 was awarded to Sarah E. Good for her cabinet bed. It wasn't just a patent. It was a triumph over systematic racism and sexism. Think about this for a moment. A woman who had been born a slave had become an inventor, recognized by the United States government. Drop A in the comments if you're as amazed by this achievement as I am. Despite her groundbreaking achievement, Sarah E. Good's story faded into obscurity. Several factors contributed to this historical erasure. First, as an African American woman in the 19th century, her achievements were largely ignored by the mainstream press. While white male inventors were celebrated in newspapers and magazines, Sarah's innovation received little attention outside of Chicago's black community. Second, the limited documentation of her life makes it difficult for historians to piece together her complete story. Many records from that era either excluded or minimized the achievements of African Americans and women. Even her birth date remains uncertain, lost in the deliberate obscurity that shrouded slave records. Third, larger furniture manufacturers quickly began producing their own versions of space-saving furniture. Without the capital to scale up production or protect her patent rights effectively, Sarah couldn't compete with these bigger companies. While her invention was innovative, she didn't have the resources to turn it into a commercial empire. Perhaps most significantly, the systemic racism and sexism of the era meant that Sarah's achievement was treated as an anomaly rather than an inspiration. The doors she helped open remained largely closed to other black women inventors for decades to come. Today, Sarah E. Good's legacy resonates more powerfully than ever. In an era when black women in STEM fields still face significant barriers, her story serves as a beacon of possibility. Her invention, the cabinet bed, was more than just furniture. It was a solution born from understanding the real needs of working-class people, proving that innovation comes from empathy as much as engineering. Modern space-saving furniture, including Murphy beds and convertible desks, all owe a debt to her pioneering design. But perhaps her greatest legacy is as an inspiration to young inventors, particularly young women of color. She proved that innovation knows no racial or gender boundaries. She showed that formal education, while valuable, is not the only path to invention. The ability to see a problem and imagine a solution is a universal human trait. Sarah E. Good's story reminds us that history isn't just about presidents and generals, it's about the dreamers and doers who saw the world differently and dared to change it. Her patent wasn't just for a piece of furniture. It was a declaration that innovation belongs to everyone. If you've been inspired by Sarah's story, hit that subscribe button for more forgotten histories of remarkable innovators. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their dreams are valid, no matter what barriers society puts in their way. And remember, the next time you transform your furniture to save space in your apartment, thank Sarah E. Good, the former slave who became a pioneer of American innovation. What other forgotten inventors should we cover next? Let me know in the comments below.